I mean, we've played 8 long innings, but we're here for the 9th with Trevor. So thanks for joining us.
I've been tuning in. You guys have done a great job. Thanks for keeping me involved. I was excited about this one. Well, you looks like you guys. I remember last year when I hopped on. You guys are pretty tired, but we got a lot more energy tonight. It seems like
it's big.
Well, even though old Grandpa here is like bogging everybody down, but no. Hey, man, it's really great to see you. It's really great to see you. And if I could just throw this out there, tell us. We're pretty excited about what you're going to be working on. You're going into the, whether we call it the pod business or the YouTube business, but no, it sounds wonderful. But make the big announcement to all the people watching, because we got a ton of people watching right now.
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. No, it's good to see you too, man. I think like you mentioned, we started a new show with Miss Katie Wu from The Athletic with Faltory, in conjunction with Foul Territory. Our show is called Cardinal Territory. And we're going to be, I'm going to be hopping on as a co-host once a week, leading up into the season. And, Bernie, listening to you and Derek talk about the commission, Strauss, I mean, it just brought back so many good memories. And, really for me, like when this opportunity came up, obviously I'm a player. I don't sit in the seat that you guys sit in. And so my eloquency, or however you put it with words, is not to your level. I'm not going to be quite the storyteller, but, for me, St. Louis Cardinals baseball runs pretty deep. It's been a big part of my life, and it's really been the majority of my life, especially as an adult. And so to be back involved in covering a team that I care so much about, an organization that I care a lot about, is exciting. I mean, there's a lot that's changed, I think, from when I first came up, coming off of 2011 World Series, and the names and, the talent and expectations for the teams that I was involved with seem to be a little bit different today. But, all that being said, it's an exciting time for me, and to work alongside somebody with Katie and then Bernie to continue to follow your coverage, to follow the coverage of these guys, these young bucks, and Mr. Gould. It's going to be a fun season. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I can't wait to become a regular viewer, consumer of all that great content. That's another one I have to put on the list. I'll move it up high too. So I wanted to ask you one thing, because we were talking about the good old days, and I really mean this, and not to just try to flatter you. When I was picking an all DeWitt era team, I put you at the top, the number one closer, and it was no disrespect to Izzy. My goodness, he's a Cardinals Hall of Famer. But listen, man, I was watching the whole thing when you were there. I was writing about it. I saw so many of your saves. I saw your struggles too, because everyone goes through that. But when I look back, and I was doing a review and really trying to get deep to try to do this right about like who the best people were at each position, dude, I was just like blown away by your body of work. And I felt almost stupid, because it's like, well, wait a minute, you were there, you saw this. I think as time goes by and you look back on someone that I knew you were really, really good. You were incredible for that stretch. I mean, just the strikeout rate, protecting leads. I mean, just right across the board, everything. So I know your career didn't end the way you wanted because of some injuries. That's another hazard of the occupation. But as you look back on it, how do you feel about your entire career, but specifically your time as a Cardinal?
Oh, I feel great about it. I appreciate you saying that, and I saw the article that you put out there, and appreciate the recognition, and how you highlighted some of those stat lines that it seemed to be like at the time, like going through it, maybe this is kind of reading between the lines what you're saying. It just kind of seemed like kind of par for the course, or it was kind of what was expected of me, and I still kind of feel that way. I mean, it's hard even now to really look back. Maybe as more time passes, I'll have a greater appreciation for those moments. But, I was just so thankful, not only for the opportunity to play for the St. Louis Cardinals, but for the types of players that were in that clubhouse with me, and even throughout the organization, the coaches and mentors that I had coming up through the system. And then, especially at the major league level, and being in a city like St. Louis, where all my my 3 daughters were born in St. Louis. My family, my wife and I spent a lot of time there, and really have deep roots. So, you know, for me, like, that's what really stands out. The baseball side of it is really cool, but man, just so many lifelong friendships and memories that came from my time there. And the baseball is just kind of the icing on the cake. But, you know, when you're pitching to Yadier Molina every single night, you're pretty excited. It's kind of like makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up every time you take them out, and you realize, I'm pitching, I'm working alongside a walking statue right now. So, you know, I always thought that those moments were really cool. And man, what goes by so fast, I'm sure you can kind of appreciate that too, of how fast time seems to move, and it gets faster every year. My oldest daughter's 11 years old now, and I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I just look at that. We actually just got finished putting them to bed, but it's just incredible. And that's one thing that no matter what profession, but especially in baseball, you know, veteran players will tell you, hey, you know, I know you're anxious to get to where I'm at, but please just enjoy it. It goes by fast. And as a young player, you look at those guys and you say, yeah, there's no way. You're just saying that because you have already had the success and you've already made it. And then you get to that spot one day, and now I find myself telling the younger guys the same thing, because it does fly by.
Trevor, if you could pick one, or maybe there's a couple moments that stand out to you in your career that you could go back and relive, like that you wish you could like understand and savor that moment again. What are 1 or 2 of those moments? I mean, there's probably an obvious one that's standing out to everyone right now, but what are some of those moments you wish you could go back and re-experience?
I mean, all of them. They're so fun. Coming up in 2012, and you know, going on that postseason run, and was the wild card playing game in Atlanta with the infield fly rule, and then, you know, beating the Washington Nationals unexpectedly in Game 5, and then headed out to San Francisco and losing to the Giants in the pouring down rain, and taking a bus back home. I mean, 2012 was a season to remember, and then 2013 playing the World Series. In the World Series in 2013, I had a World Series save in Game 2 in Boston with a one-run lead, and then I got the win in Game 4 or 5 at home when Alan Craig got tied up at third base with Will Middlebrooks.
Yeah.
So that one was pretty memorable. I remember us running out on the field when Alan Craig beat the throw home, or I think he got tagged out at home, but ruled safe, and thought he broke his ankle, and everybody's running out of the dugout, and we're trying not to dogpile on him and hurt him anymore. So that, you know, those are so many good memories. I mean, it's like anytime September, October, and that brisk air kind of starts to hit you, it's like these flood of playoff Cardinal memories just hit me in the face, and it's the best thing to experience. I hope I never lose that. I mean, it's like the fall weather just goes hand in hand with the memories that I have in all these postseason runs. But you know, I can't not mention, you know, making an All-Star team in 2015. When people ask me, you know, highlight of my baseball career, being on an All-Star team, I mean, there's really nothing like it. And just sitting in a clubhouse and looking around the room and being like, holy cow, how did I make it here? How is my name recognized along all these great players? And you know, for me, that was probably the moment that I appreciated the most. But yeah, unfortunately, you know, kind of came to an end in 2017, and I was hoping to be a Cardinal for as long as possible, especially with, you know, my good buddies Waino and Yadier Molina, and seeing the path that they had. I thought I was going to fall into that category, but as we all know, the reliever position can be fickle, and it didn't work out for me.
Well, to your point with that, you left some big shoes to fill in St. Louis, and until recently, there was never a closer around like Trevor Rosenthal. And I heard a rumor that you're going to get to be at the Baseball Writers Center and actually give the award to Ryan Helsley at the event. But what is it that makes I mean, I'm sure you don't want to toot your own horn, so maybe do it through Ryan Helsley lens. What makes a closer like that so special? Because obviously you both had electric stuff, but I mean, in today's game, a lot of people have really good stuff. What does it take to be a guy that can come in and be dependable in the biggest spots and then do it consistently year after year, not just be a one-hit wonder, but be a guy that for 4, 5, 6 years can put up production like that? What does it take to become that?
I mean, it takes a lot of different things. I appreciate you saying that, and I'm certainly a fan of the closer role. I really enjoyed watching Helsley this year, especially down the stretch when he was breaking the record. And I'll be excited to be in St. Louis for the writers' dinner in January, and hopefully see a lot of familiar faces there, and have a great night with all the guests. But I remember talking to John Mozeliak early in my career about the closer role, and he mentioned Ryan Franklin, which I thought was interesting because when you think about electric stuff, Ryan Franklin isn't probably the guy that comes to top of mind. But he mentioned him and probably with some sort of purpose, because he said Franklin had huge balls. He's like, this guy, he's successful because he had the biggest balls of anybody I've ever seen. And so I think like that would kind of, if I could sum it up in other words, it would be along those lines of, you really have to have an absurd level of confidence. I mean, to be a major league player, you already have to be somewhat narcissistic and somewhat egotistic and overconfident in your ability. But then to expect that you're going to go out every night and close the door in the 9th inning against the best players in the world, I mean, that's part of it. But I mean, the other side, I would say too, I mean, I already mentioned Yachty. I mean, your battery mate is very important. The team that you're on, the guys that are setting up that inning for, setting up the game from the starter to the 6, 7, 8 inning guys are all important. And then even more so is really the defense. And I remember, I mentioned the All-Star year in 2015, and my numbers were exceptional for the majority of that year. And I really credit that to our defense. I mean, we had, Peter Borges out in center field that he could run down anything. I mean, guys were just making plays behind me every single night. And who knows how many runs that saved off of my ERA that year. So, there's always a multitude of things. I think that's the beautiful thing about baseball is it's never comes down to just a single player. But you definitely have to have, like I said, a higher level of purpose and self-confidence than maybe in another role.
Well, it does look like you had a pretty darn good fielding and independent pitching that year. So credit the defense, but you had some pretty good stuff there too.
Yeah, I was going to say with that 35% strikeout rate, which the way the game's changed, we see more and more and more of that now. But when you were doing that was kind of like I'm not going to say you were at the top of the mountain. There weren't many people up there with you. That blow away stuff, man. It was just crazy to watch. And I'm going to embarrass Trevor. Can I embarrass him for a minute?
Oh, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
That's what I came here for, Bernie.
Rosie, and this is for what I wrote about him in 2023 when I selected the Alderwood era team. From 2012 through 2017, he ranks that was his peak, but he ranks this is true as of today, number 1 in wins above replacement by a Cardinals reliever in a career, first in fielding independent ERA, second in saves, the best strikeout rate ever by a St. Louis reliever. He saved 45 games in 14, followed with 48 the next year. Over that 2-season period, Rosenthal's 93 saves were the most in the majors and 7 more than the next guy, Craig Kimbrell. That's not all. And this is the part about Trevor Rosenthal that gets overlooked. It's amazing. In 23 postseason appearances from 2012 through 2015, he had a 0.69 ERA in 41 1/3 innings, held batters to a 165 average. And you know what his strikeout rate was? 41%.
Incredible.
That's sick.
That's unreal.
I mean, seriously, what's up with that?
I
All
don't
those
know. This sounds
postseason
pretty
appearances.
I think Bernie.
They barely scratched you, man. He just kept blowing them away one after another.
I think Bernie's just trying to become the first guest on your podcast.
No, man. If he needs me to be the personal Trevor Rosenthal stats nerd to tell everyone how great he was, I'll be happy to do that. I'll volunteer for that one.
No, I appreciate that. That's probably why I like that fall weather so much. It comes with a lot of good juju.
So anyway, yeah, props to you, man. Again, props.
I appreciate that. No, you're too kind.
All right.
Are we done? Yeah, not to usher Trevor out of here. I'm not saying that, but
Andrew wants to pop in with a question related.
Oh, okay. That's because Andrew makes me nervous. He looks over here, and I'm like, "What?"
Oh, no,
okay.
no.
Why is Andrew so small this time?
I'm in the corner. I'm doing all the production.
Production.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you to explain your hat to everyone because you're so right.
Can you guys hear me?
Player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My hat. So I'm not sure if I'm right.
You're right.
I think, so it's kind of personal because it goes back to my junior college days and at the time when I got drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals in 2009. But it's really the story of how I got drafted and how my pitching career took off. Is my coaches came to me one day in at Cali County Community College in southern Kansas, and said, they asked me if I was interested in becoming a pitcher and no longer playing in the field and no longer hitting. And I said, there's no way. There's no way I just want to be a pitcher. Like that, you're taking the baseball player out of me. I love to play the game. I love to be in the field and certainly love to get my at-bats, although as you can probably guess, I wasn't very good. That's why I got turned into a pitcher. But I throughout the minor leagues, when I was a starting pitcher, never had the opportunity to start in the major leagues, but being a starting pitcher in the minor leagues, we only were able to bat against National League teams, even in the minor leagues. And so it wasn't very often, but that's what I always look forward to the most. I had my special bats, would love to go out there and take batting practice and hit some, a couple ground balls to the shortstop in the game if I was lucky and get thrown out. But, I think, just the kid in me, the baseball player in me likes to enjoy all aspects of the game and just getting pigeonholed into the pitcher role, especially in the bullpen. In the bullpen, you just kind of sit out there and you're kind of like a team within a team. You're not sometimes don't even feel like you're on the team. So that's where the motivation comes. It's a great hat. It's a great, with number 47 back in office. I mean, it just all kind of it's an easy thing to promote right now.
Oh, that's great. And
I'm not sure. I think they got it right though. I think if you look at the data, removing the pitcher hitting, it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it extends so many innings. I'm a pitcher should hit truther as well. I hate DHs. We have this conversation all the time. Like, get a glove in your bag and play the game is how I see it.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm an old timer for that. But I mean, I'll be the first to admit too that the amount of times where a pitcher coming up with a couple guys on, and it really does kill rallies and stuff. But also, I think it takes some of the managing out of the game too to get the DH. I wish they had tied the DH to the pitcher. So it's like, you want to pull your pitcher, you got to pull your DH too, or at least your starter. And then you can have a second guy come in and hit after your starter's out.
Sandy for commissioner.
Dude, that's better than the stupid golden at bat rule.
Oh,
that's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
oh,
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I saw that they're marketing, Michael Lorenzen's team is marketing him as a two-way player for a couple of different reasons. And if you look in the kind of the paragraphs where they're explaining, his numbers as a hitter, and even though he was, you could classify him as an exceptional hitting pitcher, is still a rather poor hitting position player, which is why I fall more on the boat of, it's okay that we've made this progress, but I agree. I mean, I would love to see a solution to encourage starting pitching to stay in the game longer.
a tough subject. MLB put out that report earlier this week about pitching injuries and recommendations, and I don't know how you put the genie back in the bottle. I mean, when now the young ones are all just gas, and it's how hard can you throw, and you got to max out all the time, and pitchers are going to break. It's just the reality of the situation. But it's like, so what do you do though? How do you change that? You got to tell guys not to throw hard. There's no easy solution or easy fix, because I think we all would love to see the rate of serious pitching injuries go way, way, way down. But in this environment, it's just going to be tough to try to make reforms that would actually lead to that progress. I don't know how you do it. You have any thoughts on that? It's such a huge question, and it gives you a headache thinking about it. But what do you think? Any thoughts?
I don't have any thoughts specifically. I mean, I agree. It'd be great to see the injuries and see. I'm all for players having longevity in the game. I mean, it's a hard enough game as it is. It's a hard enough way to make a living and have a career, and to have it end early because you're pushing your body to the limit. I mean, it's kind of a conundrum that shouldn't exist, but unfortunately it does. And we see professional sports in every different sport category. It's becoming more and more competitive, and so you're not going to take away that aspect. If I know I can come in and get a job in spring training because I'm throwing a couple mile an hour harder than the next guy, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take advantage of that because I want that job. So I don't know. Hopefully, the athletes just continue to evolve and get bigger and stronger, and maybe they're able to take on that workload a little bit better. I mean, we've seen guys do well without injuries. Aroldis Chapman and guys like Craig Kimbrell, and those are just a couple of closers that come to mind. But relatively injury-free careers with high velocity and really exceptional stuff. So I mean, it's possible.
Reminisce, ask you about the state of the Cardinals, and I mean, you're gonna be covering them multiple times a week now, so we're excited to have your voice in this space. And so, just on your way out, we really appreciate your time tonight. What are some things that excite you about covering the Cardinals and going into 2025? And then what's kind of like your big storylines you're watching right now? Obviously, you and Katie broke down the Nolan Arenado stuff today. We haven't gotten to watch it yet just because we were live streaming, but we'll be watching that later. But yeah, what's kind of your thoughts in the offseason right now? And then I guess personally, what excites you about jumping into the media space, specifically with St. Louis?
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoy the St. Louis Cardinals. I kind of mentioned it off the get-go here, but a big part of my life. Love the Cardinals, love the organization. It's been really good to me. I have close relationships with a lot of the staff, even some players still, some of the front office staff, and I've always admired the ownership and their approach to building a sustainable organization. So, just excited to kind of dive in and look at things from a different perspective, but then also, share the perspective from a player's viewpoint, from, not only a player, but a player that was in the organization and in the organization when it was thriving, and to have a kind of a comparison to what we're looking at now. And I would say for me, it's kind of a good timing, right? Like at the tail end here of Mozeliak's career and kind of a new era being ushered in, and a lot of change, and to kind of have a firsthand and an important seat on this wave of transition, I think is really what I'm looking most forward to. And I certainly have enjoyed listening to you guys talk tonight about in depth about the system and the players, and I have a lot to learn as far as that goes. But that's what I'm excited about too, right? Like, get to see these young guys, get to see what we have, and pay attention to the draft and see who's coming into the organization, and ultimately, sounds like the goal is to provide a lot of tools for these players to develop and then perform at the major league level. So let's figure out what kind of tools we're talking about. What is that infrastructure that's going to be put in place, and then I'm sure we'll have a lot of things to talk about, to critique if it's working or if it's not.
It'd be great. I can't wait to dig into that, man. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the launch, and it's going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And then when we have baseball games to talk about, you'll be in your sweet spot there, right?
Yeah, this is a fun time of year, though. I mean, Merry Christmas to you guys.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoy the holidays. I know we're looking forward to it with my kids. Gearing up here, last day. I got to go sing Christmas carols in the morning, so
There you go.
that's what I'll be doing
good
tomorrow.
time.
Yeah,
That's
Beautiful.
great. Well, Merry Christmas to you
Merry
and your
Christmas,
family
man.
as well, Trevor. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, everyone go check out Cards Territory at the Trevor and Katie Wu. It's just phenomenal already. And like Bernie said, it's just keep getting better and better and better. So I know I'm excited to keep tuning in. Cardinals Nation is as well. We really appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see y'all. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yep.
Great to see you, Trevor.
See you, Trevor.